Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Theory Pre-Med. Theory Pre-Med is a podcast following the journey of three pre-med students, Mo, Todd, and Nathan. We talk about our path and our journeys as we bring in guests who connect pre-meds worldwide. If you're thinking about med school or any part of healthcare, our podcast will give you the ultimate student perspective. Also, thank you to Chapman Radio for giving us this gorgeous space to record today.
It's a beautiful morning at Chapman Radio today.
Yes, sir.
We have our amazing guest, Tiffany.
Hi.
Tiffany, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tiffany. I was actually here on this podcast. What is it? March or April of last year?
Yeah, it was been a while.
Wow.
Really? Has it been almost a year since you've been on?
Literally.
Probably.
Maybe.
She's one of our
like,
first guests.
One of our first guests, for sure.
Oh, yes, that's right. Oh, well, I'm really glad, you guys invited me, so I really appreciate it. Thank you. But a little spiel about me. I'm Tiffany. Again, I was here last year. I graduated from Chapman in May. And all the things that I said in terms of what I was going to do post-undergrad, it got changed because I decided to go through the special master's program route, but I'm really happy I did. So currently, I am an MBS student at CUSM. So all of those acronyms mean a Master's of Biomedical Sciences master's student, so I'm in grad school at CUSM, which is a school up in Colton, California. It's 20 minutes north of Riverside, and CUSM stands for California University of Science and Medicine. So, yeah.
It's exciting.
Great school.
I have to ask. I've always wondered this.
Yeah.
Are graduate classes a lot harder than undergraduate classes?
For sure, yeah. Sorry, I dropped my Apple Pencil.
No worries.
Oh.
I probably, maybe I should just ditch my notes. I had my notes out, but I
Whatever
think
you
it's
wanna
better.
do.
I think it's better when it's the conversation is more flowy. But yeah, I will say grad classes are harder than undergrad because it's let's say we talk about genetics, for example, right? It's just everything that we learned for Bio 208 here at Chapman, but it's a lot more in depth. It's kind of like genetics here, but on steroids, because it's just way and more in depth because it's a graduate level program. So yeah, overall answer,
But I feel like it kind of makes it more enjoyable too.
It is. I will say I love the classes that I'm taking this semester, even though it's harder. I've just never taken these classes because they weren't offered here. Like pharmacology, I really enjoy learning the drugs that I see whenever I was in ER scribe, all the beta blockers or the heart failure drugs and angina drugs. That was interesting. I'm taking currently neuroscience, so I learned the cellular level of our taste buds or how to see and hear and all our senses. Those type of classes are really interesting. So
That's cool.
That's true.
yeah.
Cool.
Mo's
So,
a fan. Or Todd's a fan.
so how do you like being at CUSM?
Yeah, well, one, it's a different vibe because it's not like other people in different majors. It's either two main people in the campus. It's either med students, which is M1s through M4s, and just us as the master students as well as the faculty. It's really cool because you still get to network and you're going to be in the same building as people who are in med school. So it's nice, we get to pass by their OSCE room. So OSCE is basically where they do the clinical skills and where they bring a standardized patient. Our master's program room is right next to it. So we get to see everybody, all the M1s with their white coats and seeing them so nervous before their OSCE. And so I met a couple friends there. It's actually an M1 currently is a Chapman grad. So I see him all the time. So we always say hi.
John?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
John.
Oh,
yeah. He's great. Yeah. We're actually in a research study together for MBS burnout, pre-med, post, in the gap year burnout because of that, I got to meet some of his M1 friends, and it's nice. It's a great student networking, because you guys are all in the same building, and overall it's a beautiful it's all in one building. Because I remember when we all came together for you and I went to what do you call it, the tour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool seeing it. It's a little cute building of 3 floors of it's all just the med students and the master's program. It's awesome.
But would you say overall, is there a lot of interaction between the med students and the graduate students, or is it kind of more each group just does their own kind of courses and have activities?
There are some like opportunities, like I can get into it more later, but like there are some programs like extracurriculars that will mix between it. One that's for sure that is going to be both the MBS students and the med students are the peer tutors. So people who have graduated as an MBS alum and they took a gap year after MBS program and went straight into CUSM, or they just went straight from MBS to the med school. And so they were hired by the CUSM, or like just like signed up for this job position to teach the current MBS students like upcoming exams. So like there's an exam kind of like for Chapman we have SIs. It's like for CUSM it's peer tutors, and then so you get to also do like one-on-one peer tutoring online. So other than that, they also have what is it? I'm in Filipinos FAM, which is Philippine Americans in Medicine at CUSM. So I have it's a great networking opportunity. So you get to meet some people there. So if you're interested in that, which I'm currently am, I'm in that. So I get to meet the M1s through the M4s there.
That's a cool acronym. It's like, you're my fam.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's great. Like, but like the underlying thing is like, yeah, we are doing our own thing because everybody's busy, either rotations or like they're doing their clinicals, or like they're doing the didactics and stuff. And then the MBS students are like doing their own classes during lecture. But overall, like since we're in the same building, we get to see each other.
Totally. That's
in
awesome.
passing. We always say hi. Yeah.
That's
So
really
you mentioned like an SMP program, which I feel like I've only heard a little bit about. But I was wondering if you could just like expand on like what that is and like how did you learn about it initially?
Yeah. So I'll first start with my story because I always name drop Jonathan, but he's great. But so it was the night of graduation of the Korean graduation at Chapman. At that point, like if you go back to the previous podcast, I was like, okay, gonna hop on the plane to New York, gonna go to do like full-time job while studying for the MCAT, and I'm gonna take the MCAT and I'm gonna work, like all that, right? And so that was my set plan. And the night of graduation, Jonathan was sitting right in front of me, and by that time he was already accepted as a med student, but he was like, oh, like if you're interested, like there's a thing called like an MBS, like their master's program, which is also a linkage to their med school. So if you have a specific GPA and an MCAT and you're for applying this current cycle, you can go in as a like because you're in the program. So if you maintain like the fall semester GPA and all that. And so like not only that, like if that pathway doesn't work for you, there's also a guaranteed interview that you get to go in if you maintain like that fall GPA, which I currently have. So currently, like I hit that fall GPA, so I currently have the interview ticket. So it's exciting.
Just getting the interview for any med school is super hard. So like being guaranteed that is an amazing
exactly.
really, really cool.
And also to like side note before I continue the story, but like it's you already know the professors there, you know the vibe of the med school, and so that gives you a sense of like, okay, this is kind of what I want in a med school. Maybe these are things I don't want. Like you list out the pros and cons in your head. But going back to the story, I told Jonathan, I was like, thanks, but like this is my plan, but I'll keep it in mind. And as I was going through the MCAT studying, I was like, you know what, like, what the heck? Like, maybe let's just apply just for the heck of it, you know? And if I don't get in, like, I still have this plan. So I started reaching out to my high school friend who graduated from the MBS program last year. And I was like, hey, can we go set up a FaceTime call? And we did. And she talked about everything that kind of like how I'm explaining right now of like what the program is. And I was like, you know what, like, let's do it. Like, I only applied to one, whereas I've talked to like my other classmates who applied to like 3 or 4 master's programs, like all over California or like the nation. And so I was like, okay, if one happens, like, oh well, like that's fine. And then I find out in August, like the week of orientation for CUSM, that I got in. So I literally had to drop like my med scribe position, my fitness instructor position, like just for this program, and I'm really happy I did. But so that was my story of how I found out. An SMP program, for your next question, an SMP program is called a special master's program. So if you're pre-med or pre-PA or pre-dent or whatever, this is a program that's kind of like you're going through, like, in my experience for MBS, it's like all of the undergrad courses, you're not really repeating, but it's like you're going to more in depth with it. And then the fall semester, you're doing these like fun graduate courses like pharmacology, neuroscience, genetics, pathophysiology, and you just go into more detail, and it's like kind of interesting too. And but this is more of like showing you can either do it if you're a career enhancer or if you're a career changer or a GPA enhancer. So there's actually a quick story. There's a classmate currently of mine who's like, I believe he's 40 years old, and he was a lawyer. He was a practicing lawyer for 10 years, and he was like, you know what, like becoming a lawyer and like doing everything in entertainment law is like not for me, so I'm gonna go switch it. And so now he's in this program and at 40. So that goes to show like
really
through
crazy.
law school. He's collecting all the gems, dude.
he's collecting all
I
the
know.
degrees.
All the stuff.
I kid
The
you not.
Thanos of education.
He's collecting all the stones. But yeah, he is absolutely like so nice. Like and it just goes to show like it doesn't matter where you are in life. You can literally achieve whatever you set your mind to, and that's what my classmates doing. And so that's why I've noticed in a S&P program or any grad program that like it's not just us as like 22, 23 years old. Like it's people from like this age all the way to like 40 and up, 25 years old and up. So it's really cool. So that's what I've seen in grad program in S&P, because it's more leaning towards like your grad school pathway versus if you're doing a normal master's program, like there's a master's program in biomechanics, or if you want to do masters in like chemistry or bio at like a UC or Cal State, that's kind of more generalized, but it's not necessarily specialized towards a graduate program. Like, sorry, for medical school or PA school.
Right.
And the third section is a post-bac. And a post-bac, also too, a master's program has its own separate GPA. Post-bac will be either integrated into your current undergrad GPA, depending on the school. So post-bac is kind of like...
So the post-bac is if you're doing like the building on your original GPA, and the master's is the changing careers path.
Yeah, it's either changing careers or a GPA enhancer. But so currently for me, I'm in the GPA enhancer track.
Okay.
So I currently had a GPA in Chapman, but of course I just wanted to do better. So I was in this program, but it shows like med schools will show like, okay, this student can handle courses in the graduate level. Then that means this person is capable to do well in my medical school. So that's another pro of being in a master's program. In a post-bac, it's like if you only have X amount of credits and then you take the post-bac, it will have a significant change to your GPA. But for me, it's like, I had like a double minor in theater and psych, and I was like, it's not really going to be a huge change with like 30 credits of the post-bac, you know? So you pick and choose, and post-bac will be helpful depending, or if you go through S&P, normal master's, or post-bac, it's different for each person. Sorry if that was a really long-winded question, like long-winded answer.
I think with post-bacs, generally what a lot of people tend to do is like, let's say they do a certain major. Let's say, I don't know, putting out a random one like dance, right? They're planning on doing something in like dance. But then once they graduate, they're like kind of like, oh, I actually want to do medicine or nursing, whatever it is. Then they could do their post-bac and kind of do all those required classes. And yeah, it could definitely help your GPA if that's where you're kind of like lacking a little bit. So I think it goes both ways, but mainly the master's program, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's really, if let's say you didn't do so well in undergrad and you're trying to prove that like, hey, I'm actually able to handle these courses at a higher level. Like, yes, at graduate level, your GPA is completely different. So then you're able to kind of show that at a higher level, like I'm doing better, I'm able to handle it and things like that.
And also like an ER doc that I used to work with, when I was asking that doc a question, like that same question, should I do post-bac or master's program? It's like you can also do a DIY post-bac, so do it yourself. So you can kind of like pick and choose the classes you weren't great on, and versus a master's program, like you serve it all I call it like if you want the 3-course meal of everything, or if you want a la carte. So if you do a la carte, you pick and choose your classes. That's and postbacks do have like the full 3-course meal thing because it's an actual program, but you can do a DIY postback where you can pick and choose.
Totally.
But yeah.
Now, you mentioned that with the master's program that you're in right now, there's a certain requirement or a kind of like standard you have to meet in order to like be guaranteed that interview. Has that been pretty stressful going through the master's program, kind of knowing that in the back of your mind, like there's really like little room to mess up?
I feel like for the pressure, I will say it's prominent. Like everybody, even as pre-meds, like we're so hard on ourselves. Like even for me, currently I'm a little hard on myself because it's like, okay, I have 2 more months to like graduate from this master's program. Like I have to do really well on all these finals. So I think, the pressure is there, but it's what you do in order to handle that. If you need to go to office hours, go to the office hours weekly. It can be either, I know we have Zoom and Chapman. For CUSM, we have Teams. Go to Microsoft Teams.
Teams.
I know, what?
No.
Teams is gross. I'm kidding. I just prefer Zoom.
Yeah, I get that
when
too.
we first got into like the whole virtual world, Zoom was the first thing we were given. So then when we had to like transition like somewhat like, through our different programs to Teams, like I was like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, it's like multiple programs at once.
Have to make an account.
Yeah. But like I will say it's like, you know, you got to do what you got to do in order to accomplish your goal, you know? Like it's so basically what I'm trying to say, it's like the pressure is there, but it's up to you and how you want to handle that. You can either give up and be like, okay, this is so hard, like I'm just going to be so unmotivated, or like you do what you got to do. Like you got to go to office hours, maybe meet up with that peer tutor, join their exam review session, or meet up with people to study with and get that help, you know. So
it seems like there's a lot of resources.
There
just like
is a lot.
That's good.
I will say, which I really enjoyed at CUSM, there's more pre-med help advising at that school, because of course it's a med school, versus here at Chapman. No hate to Chapman, I love this school. There's not a lot of pre-med advising besides AMSA and Dr. Crispin. I think she is the best resource in terms of it. But it's just that, like, when Dr. Crispin didn't really come until my junior or senior year of college. Yeah. Mainly my senior year. Yeah. But at that point, like,
there's no going back, I guess. Like, you can't undo like your undergraduate.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but I think overall they are taking like huge steps to kind of make a more prominent advising presence in the school, which shows with like Dr. Crispin and all the different things they're doing.
Yeah, and I'm really glad they have that. Of course, like I wish that was like earlier in my freshman career, sophomore year. But what I like about CUSM, there's pre-advising. There's actual med students that will like come and say, hey, can I look at your personal statement? Let's
cool.
like figure this out. Yeah. There's one-on-one on campus, and there's people who similar to Dr. Crispin, there's people from the who has been in the AdCom committee, who has reviewed medical applications to be like, okay, let's ask questions and let's do a one-on-one.
That's awesome. That's really
cool. So, you know, say like I'm a listener and I am just trying to decide on like, you know, is this something that I should be doing? Like, should I do an SMP or a postbac or like a master's? Like, how should one go about deciding if this is like the right thing for them?
Yeah. So every situation is different. I myself is not a pre-med advisor because I'm in it all y'all right now.
Yeah.
But I can go based on personal experience. Let's say you have to look at your entire application, take a step back, maybe go to a coffee shop and be like, okay, here's my extracurriculars, here's my MCAT, here's my GPA, here's like what I've done, and here's my letter of recs. Like, am I sufficient enough to just go straight into and apply for the med cycle? Or maybe I need that year to like boost in my research, or that year to maybe take like an extra class or two. Or mainly for the SMP, it's just the lack of the academic performance that needs more shaping. So, because when you're in the master's program, of course, yeah, I mentioned that there's extracurriculars, but that's not your main priority. Your main priority is to do well in this, to do well. And on top of that, so here's my pros and cons. Like like I mentioned, pre-med advising, you're in the same med school, so it's a great networking, and there's teachers who will help you, especially since you're on the graduate level, to do better and cement your studying. That has really helped me a lot, and really great teachers, especially since CUSM is small, you get to have closer interactions similar to Chapman. Instead of you're in a pool of 150 people in the lecture hall, so that's a good pro of being in that CUSM S&P versus oh my god, where am I going with this? Versus if you didn't need that and you felt pretty good with your application, you can just go in straight. I recommend just talking to a pre-med advisor to say okay, let's do the whole rundown, and then they will tell you, as well as your own input, okay, this is my next step. Sorry, that's what I was gonna say. The con to being an S&P, it's high risk, high reward. I'm gonna be very transparent. My CUSM 1-year master's program is $40K, so it's $20K per semester, so it's a lot. And you don't get financial aid because you're on a graduate program, so the only thing you would have to get is take out loans. So it's you have to do well in order for the money to be worth it, So, but when you see it all in all, it's a great I'm really happy that I'm here. So
good.
Sorry if I didn't really answer your question.
No, you
but
did.
Yeah.
Now, I have a follow-up question to that. Is you mentioned that it's high risk, high reward, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like with the graduate GPA, once you go through the master's program, it's kind of going to outweigh your undergraduate GPA when med schools look at it. So let's say you go through the master's program and things don't work out. Let's say life happens, right? Mm-hmm. And things don't work out. You don't meet that minimum requirement that you need to get the interview or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Where do you go from there if things don't work out?
Actually, so just a little tweak on what you're saying. It doesn't outweigh your undergrad.
Oh, really? Okay.
Adcoms in med school will overall see your whole story. So also, I'm going to plug in another podcast I've been listening to called Dr. Gray's Ask Q&A Pre-Med. Have you guys heard of that?
We can't be plugging other
podcasts. It's so helpful.
We have enough. We have enough.
You gotta crowdsource all the information.
I'm just kidding. I listen to Dr. Gray.
Yeah, he's great. I love him. So he has gotten me some input on my med school stuff, and basically I wouldn't say outweigh, because what I mentioned from Dr. Gray, he would say your whole GPA and your transcript and MCAT, literally your entire application, it tells a story. So if your story, based on when you first started your freshman year all the way to the end of your graduate program, and it shows that upward trend, maybe that's a little down there, but if it looks like a roller coaster versus an upward trend, it shows a story. So I wouldn't say it outweighs it, it just adds on to your story. So, sorry, what was your question?
I was just going to say, let's say things don't
right.
work out where you get guaranteed that position into med school or that interview. Where do you go from there? What happens after your master's program?
If you don't do well, or
yeah, let's say you don't do well.
So if let's say if you don't do well, probably there's a life situation and everything. There's always extra classes you can take. Again, I recommend just talking to a pre-med advisor and asking what are the next steps to take. You can either listen to more of Dr. Gray's podcast. There's Dr. Nakai, who's our pre-med advisor at CUSM. She holds monthly Microsoft Teams meetings with all the other pre-meds, and then you can ask them questions kind of like in office hours. And so I'm not saying if you don't do well, then this is the end all be all. I've actually had conversations about this with other professors, and about that, it's what happens if I just don't do well at this program? One, it's a very negative mindset, because we all have the capacity to do well, and it's a let this be a reminder that if you got into this master's program, or if you got into, for example, like you guys going through pre-med and like graduating, it shows that you guys have the capacity to do well and work hard. So like, again, like throwing it back to what I was saying, like you can do whatever you put your mind to. So like for me in my master's program, if some professors have told me like, you were picked in this position because you earned this position to be one of our students in the MBS program. They didn't choose like a rando to pick out. So like you earned this position, and because they know that not only that you can do it and do well, but you yourself, because you've shown them that you can succeed. So so kind of like changing that mindset of you have the capacity to work hard and like be successful in it.
Totally, yeah.
All
really
the faculty sounds so supportive.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds so great.
Oh my gosh, I have a current, like, she's like my mentor, like whoever I go into, whenever I go into office hours, I literally leave like I have just been given like a TED Talk motivational speech. They're so supportive there. And I walk out saying, man, like I could do this. Like maybe there's just this missing puzzle that I haven't figured out, because maybe like this class was just not it for me for my exam. But like if I just figure out what I did wrong, then I know that I can do better. So, yeah.
Totally.
Cool. One more thing I wanted to ask is, I feel like a common recurring theme that we've had in the last maybe a few episodes or so is this idea of like community. We feel like in a way our experience and being undergrads has been a little bit shifted because of COVID, in the sense that like community has been a little bit of a more challenging thing to like build up and to kind of just really see. I was wondering how you feel like at CUSM being in like the one building, and then like interacting with like all of like the M1s or all of the med students and other master's students and the faculty. Like, how has your sense of community felt like between Chapman and between like now your master's program?
Like the transition of it, or like my current like CUSM experience?
Like your
In
CUSM
comparison?
experience
Compared to like your
Oh,
undergrad.
compared
okay.
to undergrad.
I will say it's very similar. I absolutely loved my time here, and the community here that I've seen at Chapman, as in the tight-knit community and the people who are willing to work with each other, is very apparent to what I see at CUSM. And that was actually one of the main reasons why I liked going to CUSM, because all 60 of us in the master's program, we basically have classes from Monday to Thursdays, and then Fridays would be our exam days, 9
Is it
to
every
12.
week? Fridays are exams?
I would call it the midterm marathon. So starting when it hits like I think third or fourth week, all the way, and then it would be 6 to 7 long weeks of midterm
all right, I'm
marathon.
outta
Like
here.
time to leave. Yeah. So.
OChem all over again.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
What?
So yeah, so community is so important there because everybody's in it together. High School Musical, we're all in this together, has never been so prominent in this program because we're all suffering together. Every single week it's just exam, quiz, assignment, team-based learning assignment, quiz, like case study, like all. It was just nonstop because we're all doing every single assignment together, and that's what I really like. I have grown to this tight-knit community that I have really enjoyed, like to the point like I have found 5 people in my classmates who are all from Orange County, and we all drive together because of how I found that in my 60 people of like my 60 classmates. So you find similarities, and it's like perfect. Like I don't have to spend money on rent on like New Riverside or like Redlands an area, or Ontario Rancho, like that IE area. I can just drive over because I found these people. And you find similarities and common interests. Like we just went to Disneyland like last Tuesday all together.
That's
So
awesome.
it's really great. Like you form this great community, because of people who are also like-minded with you, like-minded together. I've seen that at Chapman, who not only pre-meds, but like the performing arts side, who just really love their craft and love what they're doing, and like professors who will support you in that. I've seen the same thing here. And it's cool at CUSM because not only you have that tight-knit community in the master's program, I have found mentors who are currently M1s or M2s. Actually, no, an M1 and an M3 who are my current mentors there, because we're in the same building, and they ask you how you're doing, like, and then I ask them, how's your rotation? Oh, my M3 mentor just finished his OB-GYN rotation. Now he's going to his, his ICU rotation. So I get to hear a sense of what he's doing. So,
little glimpses of what you're going into.
Yeah,
pretty soon.
exactly.
Cool.
Now, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, when you go into a master's program, at least for most programs, you get to pick what type of graduate program you want to enter, whether it's like engineering, computer science, or like biomedicine, whatever it is, right? I think it's a pretty great opportunity to diverse yourself from everything you've learned in undergrad. So let's say you were very like bio or chemistry focused in undergrad, then you could kind of explore something else that you might be interested in, like engineering or like computer science. Is that true?
So that would be back to the topic of like if you want to do an S&P versus like an actual master's program. Again, I'm like throwing it back to Dr. Gray's podcast. There was a student who really loved to do biomechanics. Like he didn't want to do like a normal master's, like an S&P or a post-bac, because he just loved doing biomechanics. And I think he got into like the Harvard biomechanics program there, which and of course, like that doesn't really relate to like medicine itself. But then for that, since he loved doing it, it shows in his medical application that like, how does this tie into you wanting to become a doctor? Maybe he wants to do MD, PhD, or maybe he wants to go into the field of medicine that biomechanics is really apparent in. And so he's like, even though it's not necessarily in a direct tie, it just shows in his application that through his love of that what do you call it? How will it advance in his future to like impact the medical field of what he like because of his background?
So with the SMP, it's more focused on like medicine and med school, whereas if you chose to do like just a random a random master's program that really interests you, that's more tailored into the different fields.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And it's not a bad thing. He's doing it because he just really likes to do he's really interested in the topic, and it ties into
his story and what he's trying to achieve.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I think a lot of people feel like, or at least the way I looked at it when I first learned about like the possibility of doing a master's program and then going to med school, I was like, oh, easy cheat code. But clearly you have to work like your butt off for it, right?
Yeah.
Like one, you have to meet all these like requirements for it. There's a lot of money that goes into it, but you still have to take the MCAT.
Yeah. Right? I actually currently have not taken the MCAT yet because I want to be completely ready to take it. And I've actually seen people who have graduated MBS who have jumped up their MCAT score because they've gotten through every single class that you have taken, that I have taken through CSM, all contributes to MCAT preparation. They also, another great thing about CUSM, they give you a Princeton review course.
Really?
You don't have to pay for it. That comes through a Princeton review course, so it's a self-paced one. So you have the choice to like follow the entire course, or you can just pick and choose like topics you're unsure of, and that helps for MCAT preparation. And so that includes that plus the MCAT bundle. So with all the practice exams from Princeton.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And I believe from AAMC too.
Yeah, I heard those were pretty good, like practice tests and stuff.
Yeah.
Which makes sense since they're making the test.
Yeah.
But I know you mentioned when you were first graduating from Chapman, you were studying originally for the MCAT.
Yeah.
Right? what were some things that went great with that? What are some things that you would have changed looking back at it? And the reason I'm asking is because we'll be taking
Yeah.
MCAT this summer.
Oh
so
my
we're kind of
gosh.
stressing out about it. We're trying to figure things out.
Is it like May or June?
August.
August.
Okay.
August
so you-
26th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, all together?
Well, different locations,
Yeah.
but we all chose the same day, so like we're in it.
My gosh. Oh wait, that's so exciting.
So it'll be
At
an
least you guys are
interesting
doing it all together. Suffering together.
We all take the same test.
In my opinion, since it was my first time studying, I didn't have a mentor who was gonna follow me through it. I was very lost. I was very lost of what to do. How long should I study on content review? When do I start implementing practice questions? And I just didn't have that plan, my schedule, my MCAT schedule. And so now going through the master's program and listening to the M1s who are currently in it, they said to really focus on if you can get into practice questions as soon as you can once you get the content down, or even when you're doing content review, integrate those practice questions. That has been so helpful for them. And UWorld is so helpful in Jack Weston. Those those UWorld packs, and then once it hits into the last month, then do the WMC bundle and do the practice
That's what I've
test.
heard.
Yeah.
Do not try to do all those the practice questions and not do a full length. You have to get your mindset into completing those full lengths like you're in the exam. You have to build up that stamina to hit that 8 hour, 7.5
Something like
hours.
that, like 7 hours.
Yeah.
Like 30
I
minutes.
can't believe we're going into this, guys.
It's literally
8-hour
crazy.
test. Come on.
Yeah, it's literally crazy.
You have like 3 more afterwards.
It's just
you have
like-
like part 1, part 2, and
Oh,
then part
yeah.
3.
Yeah.
And then you have your boards. Yeah.
And
And then it's a never-ending cycle.
And I also name dropping Dr. Gray when I was listening to his MCAT podcast yesterday. He mentioned that MCAT is not like boards. Like it's an exam that you've never experienced ever, because one, it's the first big test that you're gonna go into as you're starting your med school journey, and boards is different because like I will say there's like a lot more practice questions, like because you have like UWorld or Boards and Beyonds for boards, but you have it with the help of this classes that you're currently taking in med school. So versus, I'm not saying like MCAT, like we had the undergrad courses, but just based on what Dr. Ray says, it's nothing like you've ever seen, like in the MCAT. I'm not trying to like pressure y'all. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it is like in undergrad, you're not only taking the classes you need for the MCAT, you're taking a wide variety of classes. Like you have your minor, you have like your GEs and things like that. There's a lot of information you're taking in, whereas in med school, you're taking in a lot of information, but all of that information is focused on the content that will come up in part 1 and part 2.
And the stuff in boards is something that you're gonna see in real life, because
Exactly.
all the boards class, like this is not gonna be until we get into med school, but like all these like the step 1 and step 2 is mainly case studies, so it's a different question formatting versus MCAT. It's very passage based.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed. I was watching a TikTok and someone like brought it up, and it was so funny. It was like this guy comes into the ER because he accidentally burnt his foot, because he places a barbecue next to his bed, because he likes to smell of bacon in the morning.
What?
It was like, and she was like dying. She was like, I couldn't like hold it in, and that was like that was the scenario. Yeah, I thought
It
that was
happens.
really funny.
That's The Office.
Is it The Office?
Yeah, that's a scenario from The Office, the TV show.
Oh well, I guess they took it
No
from there
way.
then.
They took it from there. It's directly from there.
guess.
That's exactly
That's
what
so
happens
funny.
in The Office. Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely
they took
gets
it from
off
there.
of spies.
You're taking
for
a
that.
test, and all of a sudden, like everyone starts like just giggling because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know. Is there
Yeah.
something that we didn't cover that you'd like to talk
Yeah.
about?
Should I pull up my
Alright, yeah, let's
iPad?
see
Yeah, the go notes.
Let me
ahead.
see.
This is our most prepared guest, everyone.
I know.
Me?
Or-
Oh
we
my
really
gosh.
appreciate you
Or
so
if you
much.
have any
Yeah, of
questions for
course.
us
Yeah.
too, we also.
Yeah, that's it. Well, she's
Can
been
answer.
through everything we've been through. So.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. And
But-
too, like whichever path you go to, like you have the support from people you met at Chapman, like, and this podcast, what you guys are doing, is not only has opened your pool of networking, but like it's a great thing to talk about in med school apps too. Like, an AdCom's gonna look, it's like, oh, like a pre-med podcast, like
those pre-meds will do anything.
No, we're creative. It's a
We're
creative outlet for us.
You're so
Okay.
creative. Okay, let's see. Okay, I talked about that, my own personal experience. Let's see. And basically we covered almost everything. Like,
That's solid. Let's go.
That's great.
yeah, like, I think my last thing, it's like networking is absolutely a great thing that I've met, like I've seen, and you've made so many great people there. And whichever like pathway you take, as in if you want to go into straight to med school, or if you want to maybe take a year off, like do whatever feels best for you, but you're going to meet such great people along the way. Oh, an advice for you guys, like, do not feel like you're pressured to do the next thing, you know? Like, sometimes a pre-med or maybe a productivity toxicity culture is like, okay, I just graduated, like, what's the next thing I have to do? Okay, maybe I need to do a full-time job, maybe do the MCAT or stuff. Like, it's like that constant anxiety of feeling like you have to do the next thing. And I know it's like, I know it's not just pre-med, but like just productivity toxicity in general. I think it's important to just like really like stay present in the moment, but also like don't feel pressured to like do the next thing because like you're not enough. Like you are doing so much and you have accomplished so much, especially like graduating next year. Like that's such a huge
crazy.
thing.
Next
Yeah,
year, out of here.
you're out of here.
I know, a year and 7 weeks.
Yeah.
I literally told like because I'm meeting up with Hannah right after this. We're going to the Cheesecake Factory, which is
that's
exciting, and she's graduating in like less than 2 months too. And I was like, "Girl, I remember you as a freshman, and now you're a senior." Like, it blows my mind. Like, I'd say enjoy and be present in the moment, and don't feel like, okay, what's the next thing I have to do? What's my future like? It's not just constant anxiety. Like,
I'm dropping my shift after this.
yeah,
I ain't going no more.
just go to the beach. Or
Just
Gotta
something.
enjoy life right now.
But yeah,
You're saying this to the right people. We are definitely too future oriented sometimes.
yeah,
That is
staying
true.
present. Hot yoga has been
I'm
helpful.
texting Dr. Islam, telling him I'm out of there. No more research. I'm dropping everything.
Just enjoying the moment.
Do whatever, like, what is it? Whatever you feel happy to. Like, I'd say, okay, I've been starting to do hot yoga, and that has been super helpful. Just like meditating and like just being present, like, because I'm in that space. But that has also helped me like decrease anxiety, decrease stress. And it's like, I'm not saying you guys have to do hot yoga if anyone wants to join me, but like, but yeah, I think that's all my advice.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's the second time we've been recommended hot yoga.
Wait, for
That's
real?
absolute-
podcast.
If I had a nickel for every time we recommended hot yoga, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Who
right? That's-
recommended hot yoga?
Who is it?
I
It
don't
was,
remember, but
Rosha.
I totally remember.
Is it Rosha?
Oh, it
Yeah.
was Rosha.
Yeah.
Yep, it
Yeah.
was.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
one of our guests here on the podcast. yeah.
Really? Okay.
She's actually
So
Chapman's
funny.
first admit for this year.
Yeah.
first, as in.
First admission, like she was a senior in high school and she's coming to Chapman.
Oh,
Like,
as
she
a
was-
pre-med.
oh,
She was the
got
first one to be
it.
admitted to Chapman this
Pre-PA.
year.
Oh, pre-PA.
Pre-PA.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
With the YouTube video and stuff, and they bring all the.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Got
that
it.
was her. That was her.
Yeah.
So we had her on.
Yeah.
On the
Oh.
day that she actually had that all happen, we had
And
her
she
on
came
that,
on, yeah.
that afternoon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I snagged her. I was like,
timing.
you're coming on the podcast. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
So one more thing that I wanted to ask was, like, how does the overall like time commitment or like the level of like busyness compare to being an undergrad? Because I feel like one thing I've kind of had in my head is that like when you're an undergrad, as like an undergrad pre-med, you're kind of splitting yourself upon like it's like a ton of different avenues. Like you're doing your research, you're volunteering, your other volunteering, your jobs, yeah, like whatever like other jobs you have, like all this sort of stuff. And I feel like maybe, as if you like once you graduate, you get into like a master's or you become a medical student, like it becomes maybe more like narrowed down in a way? Like you still have other things you have like to do,
Right.
but I don't know. Is it more like narrowed but still like as busy, or is it kind of just like the same as undergrad? Or, like how does it compare really?
Yeah, I feel like for me, being, and I think this is just how my schedule is in CUSM, because since classes are only 9 to 12, after 12, like,
Nice.
Ooh, that sounds so nice.
literally after 12, like, I'm out. Like,
That's dope.
Wow.
Wow.
like I'm out of classes. I can either like grab lunch with people, or like I can go to the library, like any library, or I can like do my meetings. Like literally after 12, like it's a complete like you can
free
do
for all.
yeah, you can do whatever you want. Like as in like okay, maybe like for me, like let's say on Tuesdays I have my Filipinos a Filipino American medicine meeting over Teams. But other than that, like I can like put in like maybe go to the gym, or maybe go down, because once I'm going from the IE area down to Orange County, because I commute from there, like I can study at Chapman and for like 4 hours, and then go back home and like do my meeting. Like it's a lot more free, because I choose my own schedule whenever I want to do this, and this. Versus at Chapman, my experience, it's like, okay, I have a class from this to this,
Yep.
and then I only have like 15 minutes to like go eat my lunch, and then I have I have office hours with Dr. Lopez, and then after that, like, okay, next class, I'm gonna scooter my way to the dance studio, like, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
that just takes a lot more responsibility, though, because you do have a lot of that extra time during
Yeah.
the day, but you need to make sure that you're actually using it productively. Like
Yeah,
studying
exactly.
and stuff like that.
It's so easy to like, because especially
the
when
afternoon.
to waste the afternoon. Like I have a no hate to my classmate. I have a classmate of mine where sometimes like he's like kind of just tired from like just the morning classes, especially like maybe after a long week of like studying for the exams during the midterm marathon. He would go home, put on his Oculus, and just hop into the metaverse. So I asked my
Oh my
classmate.
God.
I asked my classmate, and I was like, "Hey, like, did you end up doing this genetics homework? Like, what did
Genetics?
you
What's
like?
genetics?
Like, how did you do that?" I was like,
What
"Oh
homework?
shoot, sorry. Like, I was in the metaverse playing tennis." I was
Oh my
like,
God.
"What?"
It's so funny.
Wow.
So it's basically what I was trying to say. Like, it's so easy to like just not be
Do
productive.
anything else.
Yeah, because you're like you said, it's a free for all, but it's like you have to be disciplined. That like, okay, after my 2 hours playing the metaverse, like I gotta do like probably 1 to 2 lectures, and then I can head to bed. You know, so yeah, having that sense of discipline.
Cool. I think we're getting towards the end of the episode. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, or we did it during the last episode you were on. But
I've been listening
most
to your
wait,
podcast
Can I,
episodes.
so I can ask one more thing?
Yeah.
Ask
One
one
more
more thing.
thing,
So,
sure.
I guess as just something to wrap things up. I guess we want to know like what are your plans for the future? Like where are you in your in your kind of your journey? Like so what are your plans after your master's program and just moving forward?
Got it. Okay, so this is the updated one compared to last.
She's like, I'm not
last
doing
year's.
medicine
Yeah.
anymore. I'm going to become a
dropping out.
podcaster.
Gonna be on Broadway. No. So now I graduate in May. Kind of like it's funny because last year I was like, I graduated from Chapman. I'm gonna hop on a plane to New York. I'm gonna graduate master's program and then hop a plane to Japan. To Japan and the Philippines, and then by that time I have that extra month before I start that trip to do full-time studying for MCAT. So I'm gonna do full-time studying for MCAT, hop onto the 3-week trip to Japan and Philippines, and once I'm back, it will be already early July. So from July to the end of August, I'm just full-time studying every day. I won't have a job yet, and then I take my MCAT on September 1st.
Wow. So you're
Ooh.
right. same as
Yeah,
us.
because you guys are you guys the last of August?
Yeah.
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 Okay, I'm the first for September because I'm September 1st.
We'll let you know
oh my
how it
gosh.
goes.
I'm going to text you like
yeah,
that
yeah.
week.
What was question number 5?
So yeah, I have it September 1st. And if all else, like, let's say after September 1st, like that was already like my scheduled thing that I wanted to do. So I had either two avenues for myself. One, I could my dream job is to work as a research coordinator next, either at City of Hope in LA or like the UCI medical center or any of like a research coordinator, because I really enjoy research and I want to continue that. And plus, it's a higher paying job too, because I have the what do you call it? I have the safety net of the master's degree too to like back it up. But also there's a part of me where I'm like, maybe I should, since I'm in my gap year, I kind of want to like join a musical and like and do like a musical, like in a professional musical, like with a one of the LA companies, the LA theater companies, or like the OC theater companies.
I think I'm gonna do that during my gap year as well.
You should. Yes. There's some.
We'll come watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll watch.
Oh, I want
only
to
if you
do
tickets.
a musical, like a community theater one. Yeah, it's been so long.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I just
He's
like
getting an itch.
it's a you know us
He has to scratch
theater
it.
people. So yeah, like and that is only like, what is it, a 3-month commitment or something? What is
Only
it?
a 3-month
They're
commitment,
only
but
3
yeah,
months.
like it is.
And
yeah,
like
for sure.
and if you're this is just like theater lingo, but like if you're non-union, you're still gonna get paid versus if you're
Sometimes.
unions. Yeah,
Well,
depending
if-
on the
wherever you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on the production and like the company. But yeah, I was thinking of doing that, or if not, and whatever life takes me, like yeah, it's gonna be either research coordinator or doing theater stuff, and then after that, like then I'll do the full-time job, working pre-med jobs, and then apply to med school June of next year.
Awesome.
So
Wait, that's like us,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
because are you guys having one
June
gap
of
year,
next
right?
year.
Are you
Yeah,
guys
That's our
one gap
current
year,
plan,
and you're
at
doing
least.
2, but one of them is a master's program.
Yes.
Well, that's crazy.
I would call the master's program as the gap year, so in total for me it's 3.
Oh, okay, I see.
Wait, so does that mean we get like if we get in the first application cycle?
Oh,
We
I
would
get it.
be we'd be
same time.
classmates.
I get it. So you're doing.
Yo, that'd be cool.
Yo.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, really cool. So thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. Like, I remember when we were first talking about this, I was just kind of like blown away by how much like how enthusiastic you were about like the graduate program and like how much resources it seems to provide.
It is.
So it was great to me that like you felt it was important enough to come back on the podcast and share your story again, because like it is so great for pre-meds to hear this kind of thing.
Yeah,
so.
it's nice to hear people who have different experiences. Hence, like, I'm really glad you guys have created this podcast, and I'm really grateful you guys like invited me to come on. And
Yeah, of course.
it's grad school is not an easy task, but it's really hard too. Like, but I just think like if I can go through all of this, like not only stress but like the difficulty of what this program entails, then I can do med school. So it doesn't even just show.
Confidence booster.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't even show just med schools, but mainly it shows myself like I did this. Like I did the midterm marathon twice, one in the fall,
yeah.
one in the spring. Like and like I did this. Like it just gives you such like a big eye opener and gives you time after Chapman to be like, wow, like this is a very different setting, and it gets you. I call it being uncomfortable, getting comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. So thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
So
Most
back to
pre-med
what you were
things
saying.
say.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if we did this last time you were on, but what is the most pre-med thing to say? Or what is the most graduate thing to say?
Graduate who is also pre-med.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can't copy the one I did my last episode. My last episode, I was like the Patagucci, the
Oh.
Patagonia, and like the what is it? The lemons. Oh my god, the stethoscopes. Yes. Oh gosh, I have to pick. So you said what's the most
okay.
pre-med thing?
Or a graduate thing.
Or because you've talked to like medical students too, like what's something that they say a lot, maybe.
Onky!
Yeah.
My
Onky
God.
gods! Onky king.
Oh my gosh, I have like none in my head right now. Maybe the most pre-med thing is like, I think now I'm just thinking of like objects. Like if you don't have the Anki controller. Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's like a tiny one.
Yes, I have it in my backpack right now. But
Show
like,
us, show us.
really?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's it.
okay. So, oh God, rip the chair. I literally. So basically, it's this Anki controller that literally looks like a video game controller. So that one, I see so many like med students use it, and like us as grad students too. Oh shoot! 1 second.
Did you buy the $240 one?
No, it's this one.
Or no, like the Anki like deck thing. I don't know.
Nathan would figure out how to play video games.
This
on it.
one here.
Oh yeah, Bluetooth, bro.
It's called the 8-bit one. And
I'll play
literally,
Smash on that. Easy.
play Smash, and it's like the size of my palm, and so I just click it, and it's like, okay, next deck.
While you contemplate life, you're like,
Yeah.
"That's-
It has helped me when I go on walks, so I can just do the Anki deck, just like click on it. When I go like work out on my treadmill, I can just click through it through my phone. So it's pretty
cool.
cool.
You ever just start clicking air, like thinking you have the Anki controller?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a normal sensation by clicking that. So yeah, that has been, maybe this is a pre-med thing. I've seen
We gotta make
it's
it
this
into a pre-med
8-bit
thing.
Do 02 Anki controller. That and
Is it expensive?
No, it's like only $20.
Okay.
Or no, $12.
Oh, okay. Bad.
Nice.
It's cool. So
I heard
it's
you
this,
can use a Nintendo Switch controller.
with
Really?
this.
That's what I've heard.
Oh,
I don't
really?
know.
They look
No
the
way.
same.
They do look. Yeah, I mean similar buttons,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
We'll find out this summer.
Yeah.
I recommend it for you guys if you guys, since like Anki's a huge thing. So it's that one and iPads. I see everybody with iPads.
I need to get an iPad.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, Todd. Take us
got it.
out.
Let me remember this. Okay, well, thank you to Tiffany for joining us and for telling us your story.
Yay.
We really appreciate it. But also thank you to all you listeners for tuning in and listening to us and to Tiffany. We really appreciate it. Make sure you go and tell everybody about us. Tell your family, tell your friends, all your classmates about us, and to listen to us.
And your dog.
And your dog, yeah.
Love that.
But thank you, everybody, so much for listening. We really appreciate it. And we post every other Tuesday at 8 a.m. Make sure to check us out on TikTok and Instagram as well. We have little skits and videos to watch and share. But
We just hit 1,500 listens.
Wow, that's so exciting.
yeah,
It's
cool.
pretty fun.
But yeah, otherwise, thank you for listening, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.